have an interesting and fascinating story to tell, and I consider this story to be important. The elder showed me where they are from, and it's no joke. It's clear why humans haven't known this information. It is literally outside of our realm of comprehension. So let me tell you the story how the elder shared with me where they are from. So, first, I have long documented that I continue to have sightings of UAP, and recently was able to film and post another one on my YouTube channel. Second, Jacques Vallée and Eric Davis together wrote a paper titled Incommensurability, Orthodoxy, and the Physics of High Strangeness, a 6-layer model for anomalous phenomena, which is an attempt to organize the experiences people can have regarding UAP. Layer 5, the 5th category of effects, can only be labeled psychic because it involves a class of phenomena commonly found in the literature of parapsychology, such as maneuvers of a UAP appearing to anticipate the witness's thoughts, and impressions of communication without a direct sensory channel. So this is my experience. The story I'm going to tell you is a communication I received directly from UAP. Now, it's not uncommon in the phenomena that contactees can continue to have communication with the main entity that they dealt with during physical contact. I've heard of this happening with other contactees, and this is the case with myself. With the UAPs that fly around my house, I 100% associate them with the main gray alien I dealt with whom I call the Elder. During sightings, I can address her directly and the UAP can respond. So 100% for me, this is the Elder. Back in late May, early June, I went to the UFO and Alien Conference Contact in the Desert. It was held in Indian Wells near Palm Springs. That's my claim to fame. I'd actually given my book to tons of people there. I'd given it to everyone I thought should know about what happened to me. So the sightings increased after I came back from Contact in the Desert. The vibe changed. It was often before that kind of like playful, and now there was a feeling that was throughout the sightings. And so it goes like this. Every night I'd kind of come out and I would watch them, and they didn't want me to film all the time. So there's this weird game going on where I want to film, but they don't want me to film. And if I don't film, they kind of show more. And if I do film, they kind of act like they're just airplanes or something. And literally put the camera down and then they start doing weird things. So the communication's crystal clear. Don't film us. And these are those times where I'm filming them. So, but the bottom line is that the vibe comes off here as kind of like we want to tell you, where we're from or like who we are. And, I've had 26 contact events and I had some idea, but I didn't really know what was happening here. So the first impressions were robots, right? Like robots. Now, I combined that with robot ghosts. I actually knew these details. I was actually saying this in some kind of blog somewhere that the entities are robot ghosts, or at least ghosts. I definitely knew that. And the robot part I understand because I know they have DNA, but the body is they're like technology that grows is what it is. Technology that grows. And so same thing here, where this is like robot ghosts is the idea. And the ghost being like paranormal dimension, that realm. I know that that's where they come from, these entities. And I know that, so that makes sense. And I kind of didn't think anything was weird about that information. And that happened at first. And so that's fine. That's cool. Then one night, I get a really clear, distinct communication. And it's basically the elder. And she says, I'm going to tell you something you're going to find hard to believe, but we're from the future. And I was like, okay, so what? Like Earth's future or like, future humans? Like what? Whose future? What future? And every time I asked a leading question in telepathy, I get the impression of like shoulder shrugs, like I can't tell you that. And actually it's not that I can't tell you. It's actually more that it's much more they want me to figure it out on my own. They provide leads, but then I need to figure out the rest. It isn't deception. It's actually, I need to get up to speed on comprehension. So then they give me information once I kind of reach a plateau. And at this point, that was enough. So they're from the future. By the way, didn't seem too out of place for me because in my 25th contact event, she shows me a book of the future. That was 500 years in the future of gray alien history. So something was up with that anyway. So this was not 100% new information, but what was going on was new. The way they were kind of presenting this or talking to me through these orbs, through this contact. So maybe a week goes by. and I'm doing research on the afterlife for this very, very presentation that I did today. And I hit that part where I read in Michael Newton's book, basically how the afterlife or the white room was similar and to the people's experience in the afterlife, and that floored me. I was actually blown away about what was going on. That I was reading things all matching with my experience with the entities in the afterlife. This didn't make any sense, and so one night I basically come out and the orb is flying across over top of me. And I don't yell per se, but I kind of yell. I basically am saying, "Robot ghosts from the future. What's the connection with the afterlife?" and and lo and behold, looking right at the orb, it's like she touches my mind or touches a memory. And the memory she touches is I recalled people see layers in the afterlife, just like I saw layers in the afterlife. And it was kind of like right then and there, there's these layers in my mind. I guess this is like astral viewing or something. I don't even know. I'm with her. She's in this orb, and it's kind of I'm witnessing these layers, not too unsimilar to something like this, but it was layers as if the afterlife just has them as like an aurora borealis sitting in the background of the afterlife are these layers, and I'm staring at them, and it's like she takes my mind, and we go through them, and we look back at the earth. So we've gone through a layer. We looked back at the earth. The earth is in the future. It's in another timeline, and it's in a dimensional shadow realm. I can't even quite wrap my head around it. And the only words, a quick, simplest description I have is what I saw is a shadow copy of the earth. Now, I was floored because I wasn't witnessing a little fleeting image. This was visceral. Everything I'm telling you, the timelines in an alternate timeline is a visceral feeling. When you witness something that was from another timeline, it's a visceral feeling. The future, it felt like it was in the future. It's visceral. The feelings were visceral. She showed me something that was more detailed than anything she had shown me before, except Venus was something different because it's in this realm. But and that's for those who know my story. But this was more real than Zeta Reticuli ever was, and it's more detailed with more information than Zeta Reticuli ever was. So it was kind of like a download. Now, first, so I'm going to break down the details of what I saw here, and I feel like it's actually really important. And we need to understand this to some degree because I'm pretty certain this is the whole big picture here. So, the afterlife fields. First off, it might be said that they're coming through the afterlife fields, though I understand that they're able to go back and forth easily from here, from the planet. But there's something going on here with the afterlife fields. So the feeling was very distinct. In the afterlife, in space, the dimensional fields are thinner, while on this planet, they're denser. So up in like almost in between us and the moon, it's like thinner dimensional fields, while here it's dense. And I knew from my studies into the paranormal that gravity plays a role. And that's the case here. Thinner dimensions up there, denser dimensions down here. And so their dimension is somehow is here now. It's here on this planet. That's what's so screwed up is that their dimension is actually here on this planet, but you can't access it until you touch it or tune into it, if you will. So technically, you can go up to the thinner dimensions in space, pull a Yui in the afterlife field, and then come back down. But once you touch it, once you witness it, then you can tune into it. And that's what happens now. And now I can actually feel that dimensional space that's shared with our own planet. So I just want to add in here some information I said earlier in the presentation that matches what I witnessed of the astral layers connected to this gray alien realm. The first is from Dolores Cannon's book, who quotes one of her subjects, and she describes, "The different planes occupy the same space. It is here at the same location of the Earth. It is just a different frequency. The vibrations occupy the same space at the same time, but it is on different frequencies, and you adjust the frequency receiver to receive a particular set of vibrations. These different planes exist at the same time, but they are on different frequencies, so they do not collide, so to speak." And in Michael Newton's book, he has a great description of what I witnessed, how the thinner dimensions are in space. With subjects who speak about spiritual layering, I mentioned the possibility that they could be seeing astral planes. Astral planes have historically represented a series of rising dimensions above the physical or tangible world, which blend into the spiritual. Astral planes also have been described as being less dense as one moves further away from the heavy influences of Earth. Both these descriptions are bang on with what I witnessed. Another timeline. So, to witness a planet in another timeline is a visceral feeling. What it means is that to some degree, events happened in the far past of that planet that shape it differently. In trying to digest this, the elder said to me in telepathy, imagine a scenario where a meteor did not smack into the planet and kill the dinosaurs. So I know on her timeline, as explained by her, humans were never on her planet. So that's really crazy. And so her kind are from an Earth that had never had humans. So it kind of isn't Earth. And which is why, as I examined in the presentation that analyzed the EBO geneticist, for those who know what I'm talking about, I did a whole presentation on the EBO geneticist leak. Gray alien biology matches nothing to humans. And it's because they are not human. They share the same planet as us, or a type of planet, but they're not humans. Now, okay, this black shadow realm thing going on here, an alternate reality paranormal realm was what I saw. It's in the atmosphere of that planet, which is making sense to my own personal experience that they kind of exist in the atmosphere of this planet. So, like, they can cross over through the atmosphere. That black realm was in the atmosphere. It's like plasma realm or something. I can't, like, I'm dealing with things I don't even fully comprehend myself. And the physics were different, which is why it's the I saw the sun, by the way. That's why that picture I show you was the best I could representation. The sun was there with a black planet. So like light was behaving differently, or the physics are different in this paranormal realm, much like I showed in my other video on paranormal activity, that physics seem to operate differently in paranormal realms. And that's what I think we're dealing with here, is a physics that's different for them. And the plasma element is really strange because when I tune into it here, that's what I feel. I feel a plasma realm is what they're coming from. And I'm convinced that they're transforming into their form when they move here, like as if it's a dimensional field. They're in one type of state that looks different, and then they move here and they got the craft and the bodies. But though the bodies are somehow connected, I can't quite wrap my head around it all. But so here's another part that's really twisted up. The black. The entities I saw black dimension. And it explains everything, why they need eye covers, because in the EBO scientists, they have eye covers. And that's why they have black eyes. And I did actually say that they're kind of eyes in some previous presentation a long time ago. They kind of come off as like so reflective, like their TV screens. Like it didn't surprise me to learn that there was something unnatural about their eyes, the covering them. And the idea that they're coming from a darker dimension is making a lot of sense now. Also, that the internal of the craft, my ninth and 24th contact event, the craft was pitch black, like black, like but plastic black. I'm in a dark black, not dark light, but like everything's black. It didn't make any sense to me. And again, that starts to adding up. So that they come from this kind of black realm and why they operate at nighttime all the time. And then the future. So that night I had ontological shock, and I still kind of have it. And it's because I'm linked to these people. I'm linked to these entities, and I'm linked to something I don't understand. When I mean linked, it's all in my book. I'm a dual soul. So I got some kind of linked shared consciousness with the elder. I have their DNA, which something was proved to me, and I have their technology in me. So I'm linked and I don't even know what it is. So I go through my own process with all that stuff. And so that night, kind of in shock, but then I started hearing words in my head like I heard something before, and it was civilization alongside our own. And I was like, where have I heard this before? Civilization alongside our own. And then I remembered I'd said this in a presentation when I was talking about Tom DeLonge. And I had to dig this back up. And lo and behold, I saw a planet in the future. And Tom DeLonge is talking about a civilization alongside of our own. And he's talking about time while he's doing it. So Tom DeLonge says UFOs come from another frequency of reality. And when I mentioned this in the presentation, I said these words without having any frame of reference to this being the point in that presentation. Now I'm talking about it in terms that I understand something. And he says, he's explaining to this person, the interviewer, time is not linear, it is parallel. It's just our point of view where we feel like we're traveling through forward in time. But everything that can happen and is happening is all happening at the same time. And everything is separated by frequency. They are all different frequencies of the spectrum. And so you have civilizations that are towards the end of their existence that are literally at our side. He's describing exactly what I saw, that there is a time is involved here, the future is involved, and they are alongside us. That's the craziest part of them all. Is this feeling is that it's just right there. You can't see it. I can't physically see it. I could kind of slightly tune into it, but it's a whole space right there. I'm looking at my window, and it's right there. It's right with us. It's totally insane. And so while sitting on this information, I started sharing it with some experiencer friends of mine. And it was through this process I started recalling another document that I wanted to look up. And it was one where the government had a document that they had interviewed aliens, and the aliens had come from a different astral dimension. And I needed to understand that. I thought, okay, I need to look that back up again. It's in another presentation of mine from years ago. I dug it up, and the words are insanely accurate. Let's point this out here that we're talking about an FBI document available on their website. You can go and look at it yourself. It's written in 1947. It's written to the military, scientists, and government officials describing the entities. So, the point two, their mission is peaceful. The visitors contemplate settling on this plane. That is the story of my book. And yeah, it's not contemplation anymore. They're settling on this plane. They are not excarnate Earth people, but come from their own world. They do not come from any planet as we use the word, but from an etheric planet. That's what I witnessed, which interpenetrates with our own and is not perceptible to us. Those are the exact words that describe exactly what I saw. The bodies of the visitors in the craft also automatically materialize on entering the vibratory rate of our dense matter. That's my assumption, hunch and assumption. And then this is interesting too. The region from which they come is not the astral plane. The definition of the way I can describe this now and understand this, the astral plane is our astral plane, our astral plane. So you go up to the moon will have an astral plane, but it's linked to our astral plane. So you're still in the same astral plane. I went to Venus with the Elder. That's our astral plane. But what he's saying here is it corresponds with the locus and talus, which is what I know from Vedic. It's realms beyond the astral planes, which is exactly what I witnessed. An astral plane of its own, another astral plane, if you will. So astral planes upon astral planes is what's going on here. And the aliens, it's exactly what I saw. This describes exactly what I was shown, and 100%. Since 1947, they've known the destination, or at least the originating location of these entities. And yeah, so that's that. It shocked me to get this information because it's like I have my own ontological shock about it because I still don't understand some of the bigger picture parts here now. Like where's the mantis playing all this stuff? And anyway, there's more to unravel. There's more to learn. I'm constantly learning. The elder is still linked to me, and I'm still talking with her, and she gives me pieces, things over time, and lets me digest and figure things out for myself. So very fascinating. That's that. And so let's end here. So please understand the scale of comprehension of what we are dealing with. 4 levels of comprehension, by the way. The future. That time is not linear in the universe. Like you can't just give out this information to the public without understanding it yourself. And do you think the government understood this? This is what I always try to give back to the compassion piece here, that we're dealing with something so far out the human realm that humans actually get stumped and confused and don't understand what they're dealing with, right? Timelines, that alternate realities of the same reality can coexist. The paranormal is a complex physics altering universal realm. So physics altering universal realm, where physics operates differently. So gravity might operate differently, or light operates differently. And the afterlife is utilized by non-human intelligence. So we're dealing with scales of comprehension that humans are not used to. And how could the government ever tell you these details? I think this is part of the problem of what disclosure was initially all about. We thought the truth was a simple answer, but the truth creates more questions that requires leaps in comprehension, with answers that simply continue creating more questions. So I think that's the big picture here. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching the presentation. My name is Jeff Selver. My book is The Rising and the Alien Plan to Build an Enlightened City on Earth. And my website is www.jeffselver.com. My email, if you would like to reach out to me, jeffselver@gmail.com. Great. And we'll open it up for a Q&A. Thanks, everybody, for sticking around.